Hi, my name is Amy Ruza. I'm the Youth and Family Programs Educator at the Rockwell Museum. We are bringing a very special museum experience to your home. I am speaking with artist Filomena Jack, and we've joined forces to find a creative way for you to make art at home inspired by some of the artwork we have in our collection. Filomena, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for hanging out and making art with me. My name is Filomena Jack. I am an artist, an illustrator. I am an art teacher, and I also help people with goals that they're trying to achieve.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Thank you. And this year at the Rockwell, for 2020, we have a programming theme, Advancing Women. We are aiming to put women in the spotlight. This is in response to all of the inequality of representation throughout history of women in art museums. As we see here, the human population is split 50-50, female and male. Women and girls make up half of the world's population, but that is not reflected in art museums. About 13% of artwork created by female artists is on view, and that does not seem fair. Museums do not fairly represent the people who make art in the world, and that is why our project today is inspired by artwork created by female artists. We're trying to balance everything out a little bit and call attention to women artists who are so often left out of the story. Filomena, please tell us which artwork inspired today's project and share a little bit about why you chose it.
So the first piece is by Barbara Latham, The Taos Village with Pueblo Indians. I love this piece. So this is made first from a carving, and I love the light and shadow she was able to achieve just with some simple tools. I like the patterns in the women's clothing and the vessels that they're carrying.
That's wonderful. And you also chose this painting.
I like this painting a lot. So this is called Makeup Time. And because our project today is about creating pottery, I love how the pottery is depicted in this painting.
Yes, you bring up a great point. Today's project is inspired by ceramic vessels on view at the Rockwell. And traditionally, women made the clay pottery in their tribes. It's a laborious task that involves gathering clay materials from the earth. Remember that clay is dirt. Then mixing other materials from nature into the clay so that it is pliable and stretchy to shape. Additional materials from the earth hold it together so that it can be fired and then baked. Women, remember, have to be very strong to do this. And this painting, Makeup Time, by E. Kaus, a male artist, shows a man with pottery. This painting is not realistic because, as we know, women were the ones who traditionally make the pottery. Historical paintings like this one does not give credit to the amazing, talented women artists who are responsible for most of the beautiful pottery created. However, we can still appreciate that this is a well-done painting while still acknowledging that the women have been left out of the picture. And then going back to this wood print. This artwork depicts local people in New Mexico. Barbara Latham's scene offers a window into a Taos village in the early 1900s in which women would go to the marketplace to sell their pottery. We could see a group of women holding their clay pots to possibly sell them or put them on display for people to come and see them and purchase them. I'm now going to turn it over to Filomena to share a coil clay pot project inspired by the handmade pottery in the Rockwell collection.
Hi everyone, welcome to our coiled pottery project. I'm so excited you're going to be creating with me. So I am going to put my bag to the side. I'm going to grab my markers. And we're going to get started. We're going to start by opening up our container of clay. And you can pull on this package, and I have a pair of scissors. So just be careful with your scissors. I'm going to open up my bag and take out some of my clay. I would say, let's start with half. We may need even less than that. I'm putting my clay back in the bag, and I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to use it in the next couple of hours to make another project, but keep it closed as long as you can. So we have our clay here, and we're just going to use our hands. And like Amy was saying, you have to be a little strong or a lot strong, depending on the clay, to get it to work in your hand. So think about all of the artists and all the strength that they've used to make these beautiful vessels. So once we have a ball that's about the size of a golf ball, we know that we have enough clay for our project. So now what we're going to need to do is roll this clay out into a long coil. So we can rub our hands, and depending on what's on your table, you may want to make sure that you're not, if you're on a tablecloth, maybe you want to remove the tablecloth, but I'm just on a simple table here, and I paint on this table, so it's okay for me to make this table messy. Though this clay is pretty easy to work with. So I'm going to bring my ruler a little bit closer. And once I get to about 8 inches, I know that my coil is long enough. And I would love for you to experiment. Try making thicker coils and thinner coils, longer coils and shorter coils. So this, right now, I got to almost 9 inches, but you know what? It's going to be just fine. The next step is for us to take one end of our coil and flatten it. So if I take my thumb, I can just flatten it. And what that says is that gives us a nice base at the end, at the bottom of our vessel. So there we go. And now is the magic time. What we do is we work the clay in a coil shape, going around and around in a spiral. So it's important that the clay touch itself. So this bottom area needs to touch the coil, and we turn and coil, and just keep going around and around, and then on top of itself. So you can see there would be a difference if I went around and around and flat. I would make a flat object, but since I'm trying to make an object that has height, that is higher, not just flat, I'm making sure that the coil is wrapping around on top of itself. And then I'll get to the end. And then I'll just take some moments. If I put my thumb inside to the bottom, I can sort of press and shape. And this is really the fun part. I love how the clay reacts. I love practicing squeezing not too tightly, but just tightly enough that the clay all comes together. I also like to make bread, and this reminds me a little bit of making bread, rolling out some dough. Okay, so there we have our clay pot. And again, I can use my fingers to sort of make sure that bottom is nice and flat. What are you going to keep in your clay pot? I think this would be a nice place for a couple of my favorite marbles, or if I have some special beads, or maybe I have a ring that I want to keep safe. I could maybe put a ring in here. Okay, so there is our clay coil. And now I'm going to take some markers and start to design. On the other samples I have here, I thought they kind of looked like happy snakes. So that's the idea I went with. But this one, maybe I'll just do an abstract design. And what abstract means is that it doesn't necessarily look like anything in particular. So these look like snakes. The pattern I'll put here, maybe it's just some lines and stripes and squiggles, because I like all of those things. So maybe I'll start with a green squiggle. And you can take your time. You don't have to go as quickly as I'm going. You can take your time. And again, you're going to be careful to not touch where the marker has been until it has dried, because then it might smear. And if you get this marker on your hands, please be very careful and wash your hands afterwards. It's always a good idea to wash your hands. There's never a bad time to wash your hands. Okay, so got some squiggles, and maybe I'll take this another color and put maybe some stars. So if I go do an X and then put a line in it. They kind of make me think of stars. So an X and a line. And this is just decorative. These shapes just make me happy. I'm not trying to create something that looks like something else. This is just the joy of color and line. Okay, I think I'm happy with this pot. And now my tasks are to just let it dry. So after a couple of hours, the clay will feel different. And then in a day or so, it'll feel pretty dry. And you can hear that's pretty solid. This one is still pretty squishy. So I'm going to leave this somewhere where it can't be harmed by a naughty kitty, or maybe you have a younger sibling. So maybe talk to someone in your house about a safe place to keep your pot. I can't wait to see the pots that you create.
Thank you so much, Filomena. What a fun project. I love how you can use the coils to create these vessel forms, and you can really use your imagination to turn it into whatever you'd like. You have snakes that you've been inspired by, but you could really create any designs on the outside, sort of whatever inspires you.
Bye, everyone. I can't wait to see what you create.
Bye.